it's not just the garden, it's like everything that I have ever done in my entire life has failed. Hello everyone. I'm just going to kind of divulge how my garden experience has been so far this year and get you up to date and up to speed to where I am right now. And honestly, I'm not doing very good. I'm not feeling very well mentally, and my garden's not doing well either. And this is really unfortunate because I use gardening and like getting outside for my mental health. So when things aren't working out in the garden, I'm not doing very well either. And I started out like really enthusiastic, tomatoes, and I got my seeds planted early. Like that's something that I am really proud of. Like because it started out really well at first. Like I used the little peat pods, which I've used before, and I think I've had success with them before, but not so much this time. We planted them together live on stream, and it was really special, and they were doing really well. And then all of a sudden, they just like all kind of started to wither and die. And I actually like reseeded some, and then the same thing happened. So I've done some research, and now I know that once the plant sprouts, that you need to be watering it with a fertilizer. And I didn't know that. I thought that like that was the whole point of the friggin' peat pots, was that like the peat gives them nutrients, but apparently it doesn't. And I learned my lesson. So the good thing about this is that now I'm just going to plant seeds in the ground. And I have never done this before, so it's going to be a learning journey. I tried to transplant the seeds that like were left into the ground, and even just talking about it right now, it like really upsets me. Like, cause like what is happening in my garden is like very similar to like what has happened with like everything I've ever tried like in my entire life. It's just you pour so much of yourself into something and it just doesn't work out. And it's not just the garden, it's like everything that I have ever done in my entire life has failed. And I feel like I put 1,000,000%, like there's no more energy or heart or time or effort that I can put into the things that I do, and I have nothing. Like, so anyways, where we are now is I've direct seeded some seeds. Garlic is doing great. The herbs are doing great. Like the herbs are totally doing great. I actually want to get in and harvest some of the herbs before it goes to flower, so that we can have a more prolific plant. So herbs are doing good. Unfortunately, I didn't catch the culinary sage, or the common sage has flowered. It's really beautiful and purple, and it makes me happy. It's getting really crowded in the herb garden. So even though I kind of thinned out the yarrow at the end of last year, which you can see at the in the previous garden update video that I did, you'll see I thinned out the yarrow. It's doing great, but there's still like this massive clump. So I might just have to like take some totally out and see if maybe like a friend wants some yarrow, or a neighbor maybe. So yeah, the herbs are doing good. So that is good. And so I recently took down the greenhouse that I had, and I had a greenhouse up for the winter, which I forgot to let you know about in the last update actually. And it had some lettuce and some celery, because those were the only plants that I could find in the fall. So the lettuce, I got like a couple. I just kind of like nibble on it like a rabbit. Like I take a couple leaves and add it to a salad if I'm having one. The celery looks fine, but it's not really growing, and I'm not really sure what that is. I also have within the greenhouse area a white sage plant, and I did that because number one, having the roof over it would make it get less water, because I know it lives in the desert and it likes for the soil to dry out before getting rain or anything like that. And I don't live in the desert, so I don't know. I was just really worried about it. I had intended to only do it for like the first 2 winters, but then I just ended up doing it last year because I was worried about doing something different, because like it had worked so far. So maybe, I don't know, I was worried that like doing something different would change it. I intend to next year not use the greenhouse. So I have taken the greenhouse down, which I do every spring. Instead of like taking it down completely, I moved it to the side of my porch so that I can eventually just have like shelves with plants throughout the winter, and hopefully I can start some seeds in there next winter, or late winter, early spring. So that's the plan for that. However, I noticed that the greenhouse was the perfect environment for little critters to live in for the winter, and upon taking it down, discovered that there's like a whole city underneath the ground of something. I'm guessing it's a vole, because they leave like little tracks, and I'm assuming that's what it is. But apparently it's chewed through the roots of the white sage, probably. And I don't even know how the sage plant isn't like caved in, because I don't think that there's like any ground beneath it. So I've kind of trimmed it back a little bit. I've filled in the soil, like you can see I've like dug out underneath, like, and allowed the soil to like cave in. So I filled that back up with soil, and I'm hoping that will make it survive. It looks fine. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. Well, first let's see if it's going to survive. And so as for now, I am just going to amend the soil while attempting to amend my soul. I'm just going to attempt to direct seed and cross my fingers that that's going to be okay. Ha ha ha. So you thought I was going to leave you all sad and mopey and depressed, but I am here to remind you that after the storm, there's always the rainbow. So never give up, never stop trying. Allow yourself to feel those sad emotions, angry emotions, negative emotions, because it's good to let them go and release them so that you can fill them back up with the things that make you happy for the light and love. So the herbs are doing incredible. These are all, I think, about 3 years old. We've got yarrow, lemon balm, nettles, and there's some mugwort in there. It's kind of out of control. I still need to separate some of it out. So I've harvested some of it. I've left the yarrow to flower for the bees, and I've harvested some nettles and lemon balm so that hopefully it will encourage it to bush out and produce more before it flowers. Upon direct seeding into the garden, stirring the soil and stuff actually revealed that there were a lot of tomato seeds that were kind of dormant, or actually they're tomatillo seeds. So those sprouted up alongside of the vegetable seeds that I planted. So now I actually have an abundance of vegetables that I'm going to have to either separate or give to somebody because, like I said, there's like just way too many of them now. So we are going to have tomatillos, a bunch of different tomatoes, the Roma tomatoes and the beefsteak tomatoes. And we've also got squash, cucumber, and we have the garlic that's almost ready to be harvested, but we first needed to harvest the scapes, which prevents it from flowering and puts all the energy and attention on growing big, large bulbs. So not all is lost so far. This is what I have harvested, the garlic scapes on the left. I plan to harvest the seeds from the sage in the middle there. Then there's lemon balm, and last but not least, the protective gloves that I use to harvest the nettles all the way on the far right there. I can't wait to see what we will harvest next, as long as I continue to tend to the soil, tend to my heart, and weed out all of those unwanted negative energy and weeds that might be crowding my growth. Stay tuned for another garden update later in the summer, and we'll see you on the other side of the looking glass.